rise to the anthem. But I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, welcome everybody. Thank you for attending this evening. I'm filling in for our mayor who is away on business. I will try not to botch things up too bad. Let's see. Yeah. Okay, have we done a roll call?
Yes.
Okay. Has everybody had the chance to look at the consent calendar? Is there any additions or deletions or changes? Do I hear a motion?
I move to approve the consent calendar.
Seconded.
Hearing a first and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Mhm.
Aye. Opposed? All right, thank you. Commission reports. Anything you'd like to report, Mr. Schlosser?
Sure. So I attended the Main Street Oregon conference last week. I was very, very inspired. It was a conference geared towards both government officials, owners of retail businesses and properties in downtown corridors, and of course, our Main Street organizations like Spruce Up that we have here. One thing that I heard at the conference was this phrase that we all have a role to play in creating the community that we want to live in. And I think that just really resonates, I think, with all of us and with our community. I have a lot of literature that I'm excited to share and a lot of ideas to bring back. So it was just very inspiring. And then we had the Child Care Advisory meeting today for Clatsop County. The group is doing a lot of great work in trying to stabilize our infant and toddler care. But again, we are still at a severe desert for infant space, which is 0 to 2. And then we're still at a desert for those 3 to 5-year-olds. And it just speaks to the crisis, because if we can't get kids in daycare, we can't get people working, and it just has a total downstream effect on the entire economy. So continuing to just do what we can with that work. But that's all I have.
Yeah, thank you for that. I applaud you for hitting that, because I think that's a very important issue for our community. The more people we can get back to work, the better it is for everybody concerned. Yeah. Commissioner Poe.
Nothing for me today.
I got a couple things. I had the opportunity last night. The Oregon Department of Agriculture had invited, had guests from Norway who came and are looking for other ways of getting sustainable seafood for their community in their country. And they toured Warrenstein's during the day, and then last night they hosted at a dinner in which they served ground fish specifically that are available only in our area. And this contingent from Norway made up about a half dozen individuals also from their government who are interested in this sustainable fishing population. And it was quite interesting. I didn't get a chance. I was invited, but I didn't have the opportunity today. Today they were touring Pacific Seafoods, and I did sit with the people from Pacific Seafoods, and this is the type of thing that really helps a community like ours. We are a community that's very much based upon our fishing industry and our timber industry, and to be able to utilize anything that we can connect outside of our sphere of that we touch, it makes a big difference to a community like ours. So I really enjoyed attending that last night. Not only that, but they cooked up some amazing food. I mean, so yeah, it was really good. I also had the opportunity, I attended Colpack in Bay City last week, and it was an interesting meeting, but I think the most interesting thing was, and you probably have read this in the paper, talking specifically about transient room tax. The county has voted to increase it by 11%. there was an update given by Senator Weber, who talked about a bill that is now before the Senate that has already been gone, because as we know, the original bill failed, has now gone before the legislature and has passed by one vote. That will take the room tax and giving us more control of it, not by a lot. I mean, now it's a 70-30, it will take us to a 60-40. But what it does do is it takes away the caveat in which currently says we cannot use it for public safety and says now we can. It goes before a vote for the Senate. She believes we have those votes, and they plan on seeing that soon. Mark Quila, who's the chair of the county commission, was at that meeting, and he stated that if it was in fact did pass, that they would repeal the transfer increase that the county was doing at 11% and would no longer ask for those funds. So I hope that the Senate moves that forward. I think that would be good for us to be able to take as many funds as possible back to public safety, because really in a community like ours, as we've discussed in the past, the amount of services used by non-residents is amazing how much that means to us, both fire and to police. And if we could find a way of adding to those coffers by not increasing and costing more costs to those here in this community, I think that would be an excellent opportunity. Right. So now's the time for public comments. Anyone wishing to address the city commission concerning items of interest may do so. The person addressing the commission must complete the public cards. Has anybody done that?
No,
Do we have anybody online?
we do not.
Well, then I'm not gonna read any further. But okay, we have one public hearing, the renaming of no, we've done that already.
I say I have no public hearings on
No
that.
public hearings.
Be on the next meeting,
Yeah.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Okay. So consent, we're going to look at consideration, solid waste water study, and our public works director will give us the update on that.
Yeah, good evening, commissioners. I'll just kick it off for you. We have a consultant online who could walk us through the presentation he's got. Essentially, we contracted with HDR. Oh, this microphone's trying to take me out here. We contracted with HDR Engineering for a solid waste study for our sanitation garbage services. We did that earlier this year, and we're just here to present the results.
All right, can you hear me okay and see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, so my name's Josiah Close. Work with the city on the solid waste rate study. And so this evening we wanted to go through a little background on how we conduct the study and some of the considerations and approaches we use, as well as the key inputs, and then show you all what we have for the results so far. And then we can go through some questions and discussions that you may have. So we wanted to get that feedback tonight from you all, seeing this information, and then hopefully moving forward with directing staff to get those resolutions together for a future date to consider those. So what we're trying to accomplish with a utility rate study for the solid waste utility in this case is to cover the operations and maintenance expenses that we have, as well as the capital costs currently and into the future. So on the operations side, we have the expenses for salaries and benefits of employees, materials and supplies, and then a large line item for the solid waste utility would be the disposal or landfill fees. We also want to think about then, as we go out to reinvest in the system, primarily in the trucks, but also in some other infrastructure, make sure that we're funding that appropriately and adequately. And again, accumulating those costs to be covered by the rates. So this is what I do all the time, full time. And so with primarily working in water and sewer utilities, as those are the most common, we have these two industry manuals. The top is the water manual, the M1 manual from the American Waterworks Association, and then the manual of practice number 27 on the bottom from the Water Environment Federation for sewer and wastewater. What these manuals do is they outline the approaches for the structure for conducting a utility rate study. Again, those are specific to water and sewer, but there isn't really a good manual for solid waste. So what we're able to do is utilize those same methodologies and approaches and considerations that go into the structure of a rate study. And we can fine tune that to the solid waste utility and based on our experience and how the city's utility operates. So we'll want to make sure there's some key prudent financial planning criteria that we consider as we go through it. Obviously, covering costs is the primary driver. We also want to look at the level of capital improvement that we're funding through rates. So making sure that we'll look at the accounting depreciation on the system assets to make sure that we're replenishing that as they lose useful life, but also the condition of those assets to make sure that anything that's losing its useful life ahead of schedule, we have that incorporated and ready to invest and reinvest in that asset over time. Reserve levels, that comes into play when we're thinking about the cash flow needs of the utility. We'll get into where those are at. But essentially, we want to make sure that the solid waste utility has enough cash flow to cover the cost between when we incur those costs for providing service. So paying the staff and covering the cost of fuel and landfill fees. And then we'll send out the billings for those customers. Typically, that's going to be delayed up to a month or so, right? And then when we collect those revenues from the customers, it may be another month. And so we want to have at least that 3-ish month float on the reserves to cover that. We also want some reserves available for capital projects. That's because timing may change from year to year, and you may have one project go into the next year. We want to make sure we keep those funds until we plan on spending them. We're also able to then save up funds towards future replacements and avoid issuing any long-term debt. So some key assumptions that went into this study, we base it on the fiscal year 26 budget, which is the current fiscal year. And then we project that forward from 27 through 35 to based on inflationary factors and our best assumptions that we have. And that's just to make sure, again, that we're covering the cost of inflation of those of each of those line items. So we have a specific inflator because they can go up at different rates, and that helps us to accumulate what that total O&M cost would be. We also had some considerations for the voucher program. We expanded it to 2 per customer starting in fiscal year 27. So there is a cost associated with that we incorporated within the study. Then we also assumed a future FTE or full-time equivalent staff in fiscal year 28. And this plays into this next bullet where we were going through the future service expansion possibilities and expectations for the solid waste utility over the next 5 to 10 years. So those considerations went into, what costs we're planning on having. And so we assumed staff in fiscal year 28 to help us with that increased service requirement. On the capital side, we had several solid waste trucks that we need to both replace, and then we're again anticipating for that service area expansion. And so in the current fiscal year, as well as the following 2 years, we have that incorporated in our capital plan. There's also a storage garage then in fiscal year 2028 and a truck washout facility in 2029 to kind of wrap up those major capital improvements. So this graph shows by funding source a summary of our capital improvement plan. So what we do is we identify with the city the capital improvement projects, both equipment and other assets, vehicles and buildings. We put that into a little submodel, and then we start to identify how we're going to fund that. And primarily, that's through this dark gray box. That is our rate funded capital. That's a term we use, but often people will call that cash funding or pay as you go funding. And this is another prudent approach that we want to make sure that we have included in our rates, the level of capital to reinvest in the system. So we're not just covering our current cost, but we're thinking about into the future with that. And so that's that dark gray box. And to make up the rest of the funding needs, we are using some existing reserves. That's the blue box here. For the current year, we're anticipating for that first truck, we are going to need to use a significant amount of reserves. And then as rates are able to handle the increased investment in those trucks, we're able to use more of that rate funding, but there is a little bit of that reserves again in 28 as we have a couple of significant capital projects there. So the revenue requirement summary is our total cost that we're considering and comparing those to our current rate revenues to then see if we need to make any adjustments, and if so, how much to the rates in order to cover those costs. So the dark gray is our total O&M expenses. Again, that's salaries and benefits and materials and supplies. Landfill fees, again, is the largest component of that. And those costs are going up generally between 3.5% and 4% in total per year. We do have, again, the additional FTE that hits in 28, so that does jump up a little bit there. The green shaded area is our rate funded capital from the prior slide. So again, we want to include that in what we're charging rates. We want to have that component so that we can invest in capital and keep the system operating at a high level of service. And then this orange area is reserve funding. We do use some reserves again in 27 for some operating costs, but then what we needed to do in 29 and 30 was start to replenish some of those capital reserves that I mentioned we're spending for 26 towards the first truck replacement. We need to replenish those, and then we also need to start to think about future capital projects. And so we split up the rate funded capital into funding the annual piece, and then as we look at the reserve chart in a couple slides here, we'll see how we're adding some reserves to that capital fund so that again we can cash fund future asset acquisitions and not have to go out for any long-term debt in order to pay for those. So we have all the accumulated costs, we then compare those to our current revenues, and that's this dashed line. So we have built in, you'll see it increasing slightly. That's our assumed customer growth at the current rate levels. And what you can see is currently we're behind on the operating cost. And so over time, we're not able to pay that full level of cost. And so we would have a deficiency. And that's where we came up with the solid line. That is the proposed revenue under the rates that we've developed as part of the study. And that will help us to fully fund the utility based on all of these key inputs that we've talked about here. So here is a summary of the reserve slide. This shows, so you don't see the large use of reserves. This is the ending fund balance estimate for each year. but it's to start 26. If you remember to the capital slide, we're using, about 400,000, or no, a little over 400,000 in reserves this year. So if you looked at the beginning, we'd have a much higher peak. But so after that, we can see that's where I say we start to add back those reserves. So really, we're kind of doing a smiley here with capital reserves, which is not atypical from my experience, is that's how capital reserves are meant to be used, and they're more of like a checking account where you have a lot of ins and outs, whereas our dark gray area, that's kind of more like the savings account where we want to have that there for emergencies, but again, for cash flow and to meet any the gap between when we expend costs for the solid waste operations and when we receive that revenue from the customer. And so that's where that 90-day target comes in, the dashed line. As I spoke to before, we'd like to have a 90-day or 3-month cushion of reserves available to help us float those expenses until we receive the revenues. What that looks like for the average customer with 1 can, 1 pickup per week. Currently, that's $15.17. And based on the proposed rates, which we'll show you here in a few, that would be $4.51 for per month increase for 2 years, and then $4.13, and then a little under $1. And so by year 5, we'd be right around $32.15 at the proposed rates. And if we look at current local comparison, you can see, currently we're on the lower end of things. Obviously, the $4.51 moves us up towards that middle, but even by year 5, so $32, we'd still be, right in line with a lot of other local agencies. However, that is 5 years in the future, and being in this world for my career, I know that most of these will be also doing rate studies in the next 5 years, right? And so I think we're definitely looking at rates that are competitive with the local area, but at the end of the day, we do need to set them at a level that is best for the needs and requirements of the solid waste utility for you all. And so that's what we've designed these rates around. With that, that's all I have. We can definitely go back to any of the slides if you guys have some questions, and we'll open it up to you.
Any questions for staff or our presenter?
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Close. I have a couple questions. Mr. Gorman, how many employees do you currently have? It's 159,000 in annual wages right now?
Yeah, dedicated to sanitation, we have 2 full-time
2.
employees, and then we have an operations supervisor, and then myself.
Thank you. And then Mr. Close, I was wondering, so I saw Longview is lower than Warrenton. Can you provide some more insight? Do they also, is it the municipality that does their own trash like we do, or what does that look like?
No, that I'm pretty sure on them as well that they're, they have a contract, and that's pretty typical. There's, I typically do a lot of disposal because many local cities don't have their own collection, which there's a lot of benefits, I think, to having that control. But obviously, cost with sometimes on contracts can be a little bit cheaper. But that is after the rate adjustment. So currently they're around that $20. So, again, I'm not sure if they have a rate increase built into the contract collection, but often they do have an annual escalator. So I would anticipate they would continue to go up as well.
Okay. It sounds like one of the driving costs for us is the landfill fees at 3 to 4% increases annually. Are there any other mechanisms or strategies that we can look into to mitigate some of the increases in costs?
From a landfill perspective, I
No,
mean,
just from any of the levers that you were looking at. I just am thinking of landfill because that is one of the biggest increases
sure, yeah.
annually.
You know, the growth in new customers will help in the long term, right? To help us disperse those costs over a larger group of customers. So you know, some local utilities, right, would have that benefit of dispersing that cost again with contracted collections. They're able to do that over much larger amounts of customers. So that we are thinking will help. Again, the capital was a huge piece of this, where we had the timing of replacing existing trucks that were needing to be replaced. They were towards the end of their useful life. And then as well as having that future, you know, growth or service expansion. It was kind of a 1-2 that we have to get over. And thankfully, the city has the reserves available to help us do that, because there's a lot of agencies that I'm working with that aren't able to make those big cash purchases sometimes. So you know, we tried to keep it as reasonable as possible, but there, you know, it does need to keep up with those costs and replenish those reserves is key in the out years.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Poe.
I don't have any questions.
I have a couple questions. Can I start at table 3 on page, right, at least in here, it's page 28, but table 3 on the O&M, in 2030, I'm just curious, I've never seen insurance go down before. So you're projecting a decrease of 0.5%. So why would that be going down?
Oh, that must be the technical exhibit. Let me see if I have that pulled up to see why. You said
Yeah, it's
insurance?
page 20,
It's 20,
8.
28.
And I just never seen insurance drop.
Yeah, I don't have that full packet. Yeah, I'll have to look into that to see what's going on there, because I'm with you, especially in this environment that insurance is going up quite a bit. So maybe there was something missing there.
Josiah, that's on page 5 of the technical memo.
Okay, let me see if I can pull that up here.
Yeah, page 5 on the technical, 28 on the packet.
Excuse me.
So
Is
it
that
shows a
this table?
4.5%.
I'm sorry?
We're not seeing another table, I don't think.
Oh, you're not. Oh, hold on a second. I shared it just on the one program. 1 second. I apologize. I have to share the window rather than just the type as a background.
So it shows in fiscal year 2026 and 2025, I think it says insurance is budget. And then 27, 28, it's 4.5%, and then it goes down to 4% in the remainder.
Yes.
years.
So these are the escalation factors. So that's only to anticipate that the increase will be going down. So the total cost would still be going up, but we're projecting a cooling off of some of the increase in costs that we're seeing on the insurance side. So that's just saying there'd be a lower rate of escalation into the future.
So I don't understand the answer. I'm sorry.
I might be
So-
able to take this one, Josiah. Basically, insurance rates are kind of high right now. We're still anticipating growth at 4% to the future, but for this next few years, we're anticipating 4.5%. So a little higher in the.
Do you think that's going to go down by some?
We thought that it might cool off. We just didn't want to project into the future, such a high number. We thought that was just assumptions.
In my experience, I've never seen insurance drop. I've never heard of a policy dropping, but okay. And then the next question I have is, you were talking about the monthly increase of $4.51.
Yes.
And And then the next year, again, $4. Is that an additional 451 or are we just carrying the 451 forward?
Yeah, yeah, so it would be the change from the prior year, the 2166 would go up by another $4.51 to 2617.
So at 20, so that I understand, so 26, it would be $4.51 and 2027, it would still be $4.51, but we would have more customers, therefore you would add another $4.51 increase. So basically we're looking at a $10 increase, or excuse me, a $9 increase. And then in 28, it starts dropping to down.
So it'd be another increase in 2028 of another $4.13.
Right, so it's.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it's not as
up to
steep.
$4.13 more, and
Yeah.
then in 29, it'll only go up 91 cents.
Yes.
So why, again, explain that to me if you could, please. Is it because you'll have enough reserves that you don't need to increase it as high?
Yeah, we're anticipating, so again, with the vehicle, the number of trucks over the next 3 years, and then staffing increase in 28, and then the wash station and the garage. Really, this is going towards helping to pay for those capital projects and a little bit of O&M increases as well. And then we're able to, yes, with the growth in customers and the replenishment of reserves and the future capital that we're seeing coming down the pipe, we're thinking that we'll be able to just look at more of a inflationary increase in the rates.
And then one other question, and that is, maybe Commissioner Salacio asked this, and I just didn't hear the answer because I think you sort of got close to it, is if we were not in the wastewater management, or excuse me, if we were not in the trash business and we contracted this out, how much would that have changed our overall costs to the community?
Yeah, go ahead.
We have not done that full study yet, but the answer would be for the individual user, their costs would go up most likely because with Recology, if you see the graph, Seaside is down the road there with Recology, and then it shows Recology Western Oregon. Those prices are the prices our folks would expect if we were to price this out. Now, the city would not have that cost. What we would actually get is a franchise fee.
Right.
So we would not be in the doing that rate ourselves. We would be the pass through, just like we are for some of these other things, the recycle or the recycle and some of the larger dumpsters. We have an agreement or franchise. We would not run it ourselves.
So so basically, if we remain, we actually continue to give a benefit to the community as opposed to what it would cost if we contracted it out.
If you see the difference in the pricing there, that is the difference in their benefit right now.
Great, thank you. That's all the questions I have. Anything else for staff? Okay, thank you very much. Well, I personally think that, when I first looked at this and I saw the number of the growth at 17%, I said, holy geez, that's a big number. And then I looked at $4.51 and realized where we were going to be the downfall. I mean, if we're looking at a $225,000 downfall, if we do nothing in 2026, it causes us a considerable amount of problems for our community. So I don't think $4.51 is too much money to ask. I do think that, and I would like to be able to re-examine this as the years go by, especially as we get more residents in the community who are, and moving forward. Maybe that's why the rate goes down to 91 cents in a few years. And but I think that we have to move forward and do something, because if we do not move forward, we're going to have a problem, and this has to be addressed. Any comments? Anything else?
I'm willing to make a motion
Oh, wait, I have one
Ready to
other
make a
thing.
motion?
Sorry.
or comment.
When I received this packet, I was doing some other research into other waste management strategies, as one does. And one thing that I came across was actually municipal composting, and this idea or this strategy where it actually like provides an additional revenue stream to the city because you are taking waste that would be going to a landfill, so those costs are reduced, and then composting, which provides soil amendments and everything else for like your local farmers. I don't think that's something that we've explored in the past, but I did want to bring it just to this group as an additional like potential strategy. If we see these landfill costs going up and we are going to maintain this service, maybe that's something we consider or look into. And I only did some preliminary research, so I don't know what all goes into it, but it seemed really innovative and kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's something we consider when we sit down and have a conversation about when we do our mission planning for sort of at the beginning of, at the end of the year or beginning of the year, and look and see if it's something we can research and study and see if what staff can find out for us.
Okay.
Would you like to make a motion?
Certainly. I move to accept the 2025 solid waste rate study as presented and direct staff to prepare a resolution implementing the recommended rate adjustments for future commission consideration.
Seconded.
We have a first and a second. Salacio, all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? No. Motion carries. All right. Consideration of Spruce Up Warrenton event.
And I apologize, I'm not quite there yet. So commission, this is a request by Spruce Up in the hours on 30 and 9 p.m., which includes their setup and takedown. They're going to be hosting their new event, which is a city-sponsored event. So it's one of the two events the city sponsors. So this will actually shut down Main Street from the post office to Arnie's, which is basically 3rd Avenue. And so they're requesting approval of that road closure, which ODOT has already approved themselves. And then also the request to use amplified music. And the applicant is here if you have any questions.
Well, I personally, I'm excited to see this. I think that it'll be fun for the community. I think the community is looking for the city to find ways for families to come together. So I think it's a great plan.
Yeah, I think I know that you mentioned you talked to Tom at Main Street Market. And this says it's going to be closed from 3:30 to 9 p.m.
Right.
And he's aware of that.
Yeah. So when I reached out to Tom, I gave him the parameters and he gave me some good feedback and said, can we try to close the street a little bit later? Like, how does that work? He said he's okay with it as long as he's got the majority of the day open, that road is open. And then we still, I have a meeting with the city planner and Lily from Public Works next Friday to kind of work out those detours to make sure that, the businesses can still be served while we're setting up. And then if they were to be fully closed around 6 or 7, he said he was fine with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Mr. Poe?
I'm just looking at the detour page. I'm wondering, I see where the event starts there at Arnie's, I'm wondering if they couldn't have a detour for eastbound and westbound traffic rather than just having all the traffic go around behind the courthouse, which is going to bottleneck possibly at the post office or on the four-way. I guess it wouldn't at the four-way too bad.
So this particular route was discussed because one of the considerations is semi trucks going through.
Sure.
So we have to make sure they can make the turns appropriately. So we're not just, considering passenger vehicles, but larger vehicles as
I
well.
guess that smaller Anchor Avenue is not very good for semi.
Anchor Avenue is not a good enough street
Yeah.
to put folks down.
Yeah. Okay. Just quick question there.
Any other questions? Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
So we have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion to approve. Salacio, Poe, all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? So carried.
Thank you.
All right, next one on our agenda is street vacation, amending ordinance 1217, second reading and adoption.
Thank you, Commissioners. Just a quick recap for the benefit of our viewing audience. Applicant Wes Giesebrecht, acting on behalf of North Coast Industrial LLC, petitioned the City Commission to consider amending Ordinance 1217, requesting a full discharge of any and all drainage, ditches, utilities, and easements so the land title may be unencumbered for the purpose of preparing the site for commercial retail development. And the commission met on September 23rd, 2025 to hold their first reading for ordinance 1296, which amends ordinance 1217, vacating those streets. You'll see in your packets, the original ordinance 1217, as well as the proposed ordinance 1296 with exhibits for legal description and the plat. And staff recommends the city commission conduct a second reading of ordinance 1296 by title only and entertaining a motion to adopt ordinance 1296.
Any questions for staff? Does it require an actual reading?
Yeah, so you need to make a motion for a second reading by title only and then read it by title only. And adoption.
So I move for a second reading by title only for 1217.
Seconded.
We have a motion to approve by title only, second reading. Ho, Slacio, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Let's see. I'm just trying to find my proper thing that,
Here you go, Paul.
thank you. Based on the application materials and staff review memo dated October 14, 2025, I move that the city commission conduct a second reading of ordinance 1296 by title only, an ordinance amending ordinance 1217 vacating certain streets in the plat of Warrenton Park and in the plat of Portsmouth, addition to Warrenton in the city of Warrenton, Oregon. I have adopted ordinance 1296 and ordinance amending ordinance 1217.
Point of order,
Sorry.
Mayor Pro Tem, I'm sorry. So next you need a motion for adoption, please.
Oh, I thought we just did that.
I move to adopt 1219,
1296.
1296, sorry.
Sorry.
My
Yeah,
mistake.
but
Thanks.
we have a motion to approve 1219. We have a second.
1296.
1296.
1296.
Seconded.
We have a motion to approve 1296. We have a second.
Seconded.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Motion carried. Host, Lacio. I move, so we've done all that. Do I have to? I move to adopt ordinance 1296, an ordinance amending ordinance 1217, vacating certain streets in the plat of Warrenton Park and the plat of Portsmouth, addition to Warrenton in the city of Warrenton, Oregon.
And your motions have carried, so it has been moved and adopted.
Okay, so
Yeah.
we've, okay. Thank you for everybody. All right, next up is consideration of public safety fee resolution number 2709.
Good evening. Thank you for your time tonight. Before you is resolution 2709. Earlier this in the summer, we had met as a group and talked about public safety fee. And with your feedback, I've come to you with a resolution and a new fee schedule that was adjusted from your feedback from a presentation earlier.
Questions for staff?
I remember we talked about removing the multifamilies last time because of complexity with billing. What?
So there is, at this time with the, if you look on Appendix A, there is new multifamily dwellings, duplexes, triplexes, or, larger
There's,
facilities included in this number of 136.
oh, okay.
Or the 1 inch or inch and a half, depending on, this is strictly just commercial businesses that are, a storefront or a mobile business of some sort.
So no multifamily, sorry, I can't hear.
Yeah,
No.
no multifamily.
And
Residential,
no
no
residential.
multifamily.
And that's just because of
We have focused purely on commercial.
commercial.
Yep, business and commercial.
Thank you.
Mr. Poe, any questions?
No questions.
And we would like to request that it be a first reading by title only, so you do not have to read the resolution in its entirety unless you so prefer.
Do I have a do I have a motion?
I know staff recommends the city commission to conduct the first reading of the attached resolution establishing a public safety fee with implementation beginning on January 1.
And would you like that first by title only? Or would you like to read it in its entirety? Thank you.
We have a motion to do by title only the staff recommendation for the city commission to conduct the attached resolution establishing a public safety fee with implementation beginning in January 1st of 2026. Do we have a second?
Seconded.
We have a first and a second. Poe, Salacio, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Thank you, Chief. We
Thank
appreciate
you.
I just have one additional.
Yes, ma'am.
We are
Or
gonna
Commissioner.
pursue or explore other strategies because I know the 100 and sorry.
Yeah,
moved back up,
projected 130.
is not gonna
Yeah.
cut it.
So
Yeah.
we will be bringing forward, there was a request to review the safety fees. We're still bringing that forward, and
Okay.
I think there will be other discussion as well. So Mayor Pro Tem, could you read by title only the resolution, please?
by title only. Resolution number 2709, resolution establishing a public safety fee.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Appreciate it, Chief. Okay, next up is a consideration of amplified sound for trick or trot, 5K event.
I apologize, Mayor Pro Tem. I have E first. Is mine out of order? The labor negotiations agreement?
I do not have that. Oh, I'm sorry. No, I have
Maybe.
letter of
mine-
engagement. You're correct. I apologize. Consideration of letter of engagement for labor negotiations with CDI Labor Law LLC.
As you can see in the memo before you, Beery and Nelsner for many years as our city attorneys have been engaged for labor negotiations and any labor-related issues, but some of the team they have are actually moving on from that firm, and they will not be continuing in that role. So they have made a recommendation of other law firms to pursue that are specifically for labor negotiations, and we have selected from the ones they've recommended this group of CDR labor law. So they are specifically just for that. We still have Beery Elsner as our main city attorneys, but we will, with your approval, retain these folks for just labor law.
Any questions?
I move to approve engaging CDR labor law on behalf of the city to advise and assist in matters pertaining to labor law and labor negotiations, and authorize the mayor to sign the letter of engagement and contract on the city's behalf.
Second.
We have a first and second. Salacio Poe to approve. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? So carries. All right, now we can go to trick or trot.
Yeah, the item before you tonight is Warrenton Parks Alliance is putting on a 5K run that starts at Northeast First Street. And it'll be at 2 p.m. on, I believe it's the 26th. It's in the packet there.
Mhm.
And they're requesting amplified music for just some festive music and announcements during their 5K.
And the music will be at the start, which is the church parking lot.
Correct, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm excited to see so many events from the community this fall.
Yeah, me as well.
Yeah.
Any comments?
Um,
Motion.
Mr. Gorman, I just want to also compliment Lily, one of your staff, on the revamp of the application and all the efforts with communicating, because I know it's a lot of work. And I know there's like a lot of fine tuning with the details, and I just want to commend staff because I know that she's put in a lot of hours and she's been very patient with those of us that have been having questions about the applications. So thank you.
Appreciate it. I know she's happy to do it and I'll take that back to her.
So I move to approve the use of amplified sound for the Warrenton Park Alliance Trick or Trot 5K on October 26, 2025.
Second.
We have a first and second to approve. Salacio Poe, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you very much. We appreciate your time, sir. He's gonna stay right here. This consideration of to advertise for bids for Seafarers Park's bank stabilization. This is something I'm glad to see finally happen.
Yeah, me as well. So this is the erosion that's happened over at Seafarers Park. We've contracted with a design consultant and they've got the plan ready. We're ready to go out for bid. So we're just here to get your approval for that.
Do we have any questions for staff? Anybody have a motion?
I have a few questions, but I'm not going to ask them because this is an awful big packet of material and it's going to probably go on a long time and I'll have time to ask questions down the road, but I'm glad to see it happening.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. It's one of my favorite parts of Warrenton, and I'm really glad to see us actually have it. But I'm glad to see it.
Likewise. Yeah. So
Anyway,
I move to authorize the advertisement for construction bids for the Seafarers Park Bank Stabilization Project.
Second.
we have a motion to approve. Salacio Poe, all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? So carries. Thank you very much. Okay, consideration to state lobbyist contract, wastewater treatment, public affairs, city manager.
Yeah, I apologize. You're right. The packet is long and getting to the right thing is way down there. But yes, we have contracted in the past with a lobbyist at the federal level for wastewater funds. So far, we have not yet been successful, been very close a few times. But that said, we believe there is also funding available at the state level, and we would like to have that extra lift that staff and our mayor simply do not have the time to pursue of having a lobbyist at the state level. The benefit to us, if we do get that money, is of course less on our community that we have to pay ourselves. So the hope is by hiring a lobbyist, we can get some of those state grants and lottery dollars and other things, and hopefully get this that money in here for the city. So we are requesting a lobbyist, and this will be mostly for the short session next year to get that going forward.
Any questions for staff?
The primary, well, I know they're focused, they have a specific focus for the wastewater treatment, but will they be supporting any other efforts?
We cannot
Okay.
because this is paid for through a very
So-
specific fund.
Okay.
So we can't really say, well, you're going to do this, this, and this, because then we have to pay for it from several different funds.
And this is a $25,000 contract
It is.
for hopefully upwards of 10 million.
The hope is around 8 million
8
at the
million.
state level has been our goal since we've started this, and we've been hoping for around 2 million at the federal level. Those are kind of our targets we've been shooting for.
So at this point, is this just a commission recommendation then?
No, this is a request to approve.
And we need a motion?
You
Mhm.
do.
I move to approve.
Seconded.
We have a motion to approve by Poe, Salacio, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Thank you very much. This was the time for discussion. Anything especially you'd like to discuss?
I have nothing tonight.
No.
The one thing that I've noticed recently, we were doing some work for the at Spruce Up, the storage unit, and it's over by the marina and the Bornstein building. I don't know if y'all have seen it recently, but there's a big hole in the side and it looks like people are going in and out, and it just looks like a
I
huge
think it's been
hazard.
condemned or it's been,
Well, I talked to the city manager about it, but I just wanted to bring it to the community's attention too, because it's one, dangerous. And I think we really have to get serious about making sure that we're keeping the community safe and holding these business owners responsible when they're not upkeeping and doing maintenance on their buildings, because it is such a huge hazard. So that's, I know it's a bummer. So I'm sorry to add that to the good of the order, but I don't know if you guys have seen it. It's not great.
I believe our building official is in the process of informing the owners that it is considered an unsafe building
Okay, great.
at this time.
Thank you.
I know that I did speak with, just by circumstance, seeing Andrew last night at this event. And he shared with me what their plans were with the buildings and what they plan on doing.
They're gonna make something happen?
Huh?
They plan to.
Yeah, so they're going to be, I guess, doing a multi-use apartments upstairs and down below, supplies, netting supplies or fishing supplies, storage units underneath it, I think is his plan.
In the old Trina and Ron's lot?
Yeah,
Okay, but they're probably gonna have to tear down
they're gonna tear.
Deep Sea, right? Well, no, the lot or the building that's on the marina.
Yeah,
I don't think you can rebuild now with the condition that it's in.
no, I'm just telling you what he's,
Okay, I'm curious.
yeah, I'm
Okay.
sure the city knows more. I mean, it's probably had conversations with them, so.
I'm not sure.
Okay, stay tuned.
I just want to make a comment about the public events. I mean, I'm really excited to see us doing so many public events. You know, it's always been my hope that we would find ways to bring people together, especially families. We are a family community with very family valued, and I'm really glad to see us having the two events that are coming up. I encourage people who want to get involved and to come out and do that. I had an opportunity to speak with the president of Spruce Up today earlier and heard some of the community members who own businesses were excited by it and wanting to be involved. So I'm really glad to see that happening. That's the kind of thing we need in a community like ours, is to have events that we take ownership that belongs to us in this community. And so I applaud those. And if you haven't signed up, not that I'm much of a trotter, but I'm more of a tricker, but I will certainly encourage those of you who wish to go trotting to go and take advantage of the event coming up as well, because I think those are worthwhile events and definitely highlights us as the kind of community I think we want to share ourselves as being.
Oh, and the next Spruce Up meeting is here Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. and there'll be pizza, 5:30 p.m.
5:30.
and there'll be pizza. So I would encourage you to come out.
All right. Anything for the city manager?
Yeah, I do have two items. Just an update on your open house you have coming up with city commissioner applicants. I believe you have two applications so far. And that, is a reminder, is Monday, October 27th at 5 p.m. right here in the commission chambers. There'll be a chance for the community to meet the candidates and also put in some questions to ask all the candidates in a kind of informal setting. And then also, I think we've already mentioned this, but our city recorder is retiring with us the end of this year. So December 9th meeting, we will be presenting a plaque for her. And then Hannah, who is sitting here, will be replacing Dawn, moving up into her seat starting December 1st. So we will have a transition time with both active and present with us. So, and then we do have an executive session as well.
Assistant city recorder, anything? Okay, nobody. Okay, well, that concludes our meeting. Thank you very much.
Mayor
Now
Pro Tem?
enter into an executive session.
Okay.
The Warrenton City Commission will now meet in executive session under the authority of ORS 192-6602E to conduct deliberations with persons designated at the governing body to negotiate real estate property transactions. Representatives of the news media are specifically directed not to report any deliberations during the executive session, except the state general subject of the session was previously announced. No decision will be.
Thank you.
Executive session. The commission is not expected to return to regular session to take action of any item considered in the executive session.